All right, I think I'm recording. Let's give it a go again. I'm trying to keep these videos up consistently. So today I've got a topic that I want to talk about. It's a guide that I actually recently made, and I'm just gonna do like a video format of it as well to provide value. For those of you who want to download the guide, I'll put the link in the comments. And if you want to listen to it in video format or kind of get an explanation like this, it might be easier. But it's basically about glutes, and if you want to build specifically stronger, rounder glutes, but the principles are about progressive overload and getting stronger. So even though you're lifting weights and it's just about glutes, you can still apply the principles to whatever you're doing. So I think it's important to listen and take some notes and maybe apply the same kind of thought process basically. So the first thing we're talking about is strength training versus muscle growth, and it's kind of like they go hand in hand together, but they also work separately, and they both have different principles to an extent. So strength training uses a lot of, I've got some notes here and I've got my camera over there and I see myself over here. That's why I'm all over the place, so apologies. But as I was saying, strength training is basically where you're doing 6 to 10 to 8 reps. You're doing heavier lifts. You're focusing on mostly compound stuff, so think squat, bench, deadlift stuff. And hypertrophy or muscle growth is basically doing the 8 to 12. Now, a stronger muscle can sometimes mean a bigger muscle. However, a bigger muscle doesn't necessarily mean a stronger muscle. So a bodybuilder can be huge but not necessarily strong, whilst a powerlifter can be small but very strong, right? So it's just about how you train. However, that's why it's important to use both. And you want strength. You want to be stronger in, say, your barbell hip thrust or your lunges, so you'll still hit the 6 reps, and sometimes you hit the 12 reps. That's why they go hand in hand, right? But the key driver of growth is, of course, progressive overload. That's what happens as you lift more, as you stay consistent, and you try and do more every other week. So beginners are looking at something like 9 to 12 sets per muscle group per week. So if you're doing 3 sessions a week on a specific muscle, let's say your chest, you can do 4 exercises of 3 sets and you will get 12 sets. Intermediates 12 to 18, and advanced might be heading 18 to 25. You want to start slower and increase if only your progress stalls for a longer period, not like, oh, I'm stuck for a month, like, or a week, like give it a bit of time, then you're really stuck. And more is not always better. It's important to understand. Resting is in essence also the same. Like, you want to rest 2 to 3 minutes because there's a lot of research to say that that's the benefit of it. With powerlifting or strength training, you might rest up to 5 minutes, and hypertrophy maybe 2 to 3 instead. Technique and tempo is also extremely important, no matter which type of training you're doing, for example, right? If you think about like session structure and how to structure things, so if, let's say we're talking about glutes specifically in this guide, we're talking about like the strong heavy lifts will be doing your first thing because I use it the most energy. So I will start with like a barbell hip thrust because that might be 100 kilos, 180, 200 kilos, whatever number it is, and that might be taking up the most work. And then I would go for something secondary, which is more focused on form, and maybe I would do a little bit more reps on the second set. That could be my lunges or my cable adductions, essentially. So the point of this is that you want to combine both progressively overloading your strength focused reps with your hypertrophy focused reps and sets. And the guide kind of outlines the basic principles of that, so feel free to download that and read more about that. But yeah, otherwise you know where to find me on Instagram, online, and everywhere else if you want to talk about coaching or any other help.